Mevo Plus, Bushnell Launch Pro, and the SkyTrak Plus. Now, the good news is these are all incredible units, and I really don't think you can go wrong with either one. But there's definitely going to be a device that is right for you, so let's figure out what that is. Starting off with space constraints, because let's be honest, depending on the size of your simulator area, your decision may already be made for you. So with the Mevo Plus, you're going to want at least 18 feet of depth in your room. And if you want to play with lefties and righties, which is one of the benefits of the Mevo Plus, you're going to want about 15 to 16 feet of width. Can you make it work with less width? Yes, but if you want to use lefties and righties, you're going to want that 15 feet of width. For the Launch Pro and the SkyTrak Plus, this is one of the benefits. You don't need quite as much depth in your room. To make your swing safe, you're probably going to still need 16 feet of depth, and you can get away with, I would say, 10 feet of width. You probably want 12 to be comfortable. Now let's talk about accuracy of the devices. This is one of the most important things to me, and what I did is I hit thousands of shots with each device, and I went and I compared my numbers to that on the TrackMan, one of the industry standard devices. And right off the bat, I'm going to tell you the most accurate device is the Bushnell Launch Pro. This is an incredible device, but if you watch some of my other videos, you probably know it's not my #1 recommended device under $5,000. So let's get into why that is. But first, let's talk about how good this device is. So for those of you who don't know, this is the Foresight GC3. Bushnell bought Foresight, and essentially what they've done, they've taken this $7,000 to $8,000 device and they've sold it at a way cheaper initial cost with higher subscription fees. Now we'll get into those subscription fees in a little bit, but what you need to know is this is basically as good as it gets. The only better option is the Foresight GC Quad, which is the older brother of the GC3, and that is a $20,000 device. Everything I've tested with this device, I have not had one shot where I second guessed it. It's incredibly accurate on carry distance, side spin, everything you could want. And if you aren't worried about high subscription fees and you don't need lefties over to play, then this is the device that I would recommend. Moving on to the Mevo Plus and the SkyTrak Plus. Now, accuracy-wise with the Mevo Plus, this is incredibly good as well. And people are probably shocked to find my carry numbers were essentially the exact same as the Bushnell Launch Pro, as the TrackMan. And if you're looking for just straight carry numbers, this is essentially the same thing. And there's really only one negative I found on the Mevo Plus, and that is gear effect. So for those of you who don't know what gear effect is, essentially, let's say you have a club path and a face angle that is going to cause a slice. If you hit it really far on the toe, that will actually cause a draw spin. So the only thing I found that the Mevo Plus doesn't pick up yet, because updates may improve that, is gear effect, which honestly, if you're gonna have one thing off on a device, I'm glad it's that, because if you're hitting that far on the toe, it's a terrible shot anyway, so whether that reads going left or going right, that's a lot better than having a good shot read the wrong way. So anytime you're hitting the ball how you should, you're gonna get those correct readings, and that's gonna give you great feedback. Now let's talk about the SkyTrak Plus. If I'm being honest, I think accuracy between the Mevo and SkyTrak Plus are essentially the same. With the SkyTrak Plus, I found essentially every single shot to be the exact same as the TrackMan, except I would get like every 1 out of 20 shots, I would get a reading that felt off. Now, it was never to the point where I'm like, that is for sure 100% off, but I would say probably twice in 18 holes you'll have a shot that the carry may seem off, maybe the direction's a little bit off, but it's never to the point where it's awful. So I really think that's your difference between the SkyTrak Plus and the Bushnell Launch Pro. You're probably talking about 2 shots over 18 holes. Now, one thing I did want to bring up, short chips. It's something that's not talked about a lot, but if you're chipping kind of under that 12-yard range, some devices can have trouble with short chips. I found the SkyTrak Plus, I had trouble getting short chips to read. There may be a fix. I would look in the comments below. The Mevo Plus, I originally had a short chip issue as well, but there's a setting, if you guys watch my setup tips of the Mevo Plus, that's going to allow you to get those short chips to read properly pretty much every time. And then the Bushnell Launch Pro, red short chips, great. At the end of the day, these are all incredibly accurate, and I could use any of these in my sim and feel comfortable. And if I'm being honest, if you're above a 5 handicap, I don't think you'll really be able to tell the difference in accuracy between these 3 devices. I think the Bushnell Launch Pro is really gonna shine if you're someone that's kind of in those single digits, really trying to get better. That's where it's gonna come in handy the most, but I think you can improve and get to scratch with any of these devices. Moving on to price, because this is honestly one of the most confusing things. All these have different packages you can add on, subscription fees, so let's get into that. First off, right off the bat, I know you guys want to get these at the lowest possible prices, and we're gonna help you guys do that. So if you guys are going with the SkyTrak Plus Bushnell Launch Pro, use our Play Better links below and take our Launch Monitor quiz, and that's gonna give you a discount code that's gonna allow you to get those devices at the lowest possible price. For the Mevo Plus, we have a direct link with FlightScope. Code GolfBusters10 will get you the lowest possible price on that. Starting with the Mevo Plus, there are 3 options you have. If you go with just the basic option, it's gonna be around $1,800 with our code, and that doesn't include the Pro package. I'm gonna include a clip right now of what the Pro package adds and what the default unit has. But really, at the end of the day, if you aren't concerned with club data and you just want the ball flight to be accurate, you can go with the base unit, $1,800, no subscription fees. Now, one of the other packages we highly recommend is the Pro package. That's gonna add club data for you, and again, we'll put that back up so you can see what it's adding. But this is the tool that we think, if you have the money lying around, is 100% worth it, because the Pro package is gonna give you that club path, face angle, face to path, and that's something that we all use regularly to correct our swing very quickly. Without it, you can figure out what you're doing wrong with trial and error, but when you add it on, it allows you to quickly identify what's wrong and fix it. The Pro package is gonna add around $700 to the cost of the unit, and it's a one-time purchase. Then finally, the last purchase is Face Impact. That's around like $350, $400, and this is a super cool feature, but you do need lighting. So you can't see it above, but I had to add these LED light strips. They were like $50, and that allowed me to have enough lighting to get the Face Impact to read. Now, the Face Impact's really cool because it's gonna tell you exactly where your ball hit on the club face. And while Face Impact and the Pro package don't improve the accuracy of the device, they're definitely great features to have, but you don't have to get them if you don't want to. And the best part with the Mevo Plus, there are no subscription fees because it's gonna come with 10 free E6 courses for iPad and PC. But if you do wanna add on GS Pro, that's gonna be $250 a year. Okay, that was a lot. On to the SkyTrak Plus. This one's a little simpler to understand. The SkyTrak Plus is gonna come in around $2,700 to $3,000 depending on the deals going on at the time. But the SkyTrak Plus does have subscription fees. It comes with club data, which is okay. I didn't find the club data to be as accurate as the other 2 units, but it does a good job. And if you guys wanna play courses at the cheapest possible price, it's going to be $250 a year for the, I believe it's the Play and Improve package, which is going to give you 15 E6 courses. And if you want to use GS Pro with it, you'll need to get the Game Improvement package, which is $130 a year, and then you'll need to get GS Pro, which is $250. Last but not least, Bushnell Launch Pro. Base unit is $2,000. If you want club data, that's $3,500. Now, I really think you can go either way. I wish the ball data on the Bushnell Launch Pro included club head speed and smash factor as just a base like the Mevo Plus does. If it had that, I would be telling a lot of people to go with just the ball data, but it's really nice to have, you know, your club speed and your smash factor. So if you want that and a little more club data like club path, you're gonna be paying $3,500 a year. Now, one of the downsides of club data on these camera-based units, they require club stickers. Even the SkyTrak Plus, it says it doesn't need it, but I found the readings were more accurate with club stickers. So you'll need to put a sticker on all your clubs, and that's just a little bit of a downer because when you have people come over, you're not gonna have people put stickers on their clubs every time. So you're really getting the club data just for yourself. So that may help you make the decision between getting the ball data and the club data. The good news is club data, extremely reliable with this unit, so worth it to get if you want to get those features. Okay, but we're not done because the Bushnell Launch Pro has the highest subscription fees, and really that's the only downside on the device, that and you can't really use lefties with it. So the Bushnell Launch Pro at a minimum is going to be $500 a year in subscription fees, which is still a pretty good deal considering this is the Foresight GC3, a $7,000 to $8,000 device that you're getting for $2,000 or $3,500. Now with that $500 a year subscription fee, you're gonna get FSX Play. And the good news is, I think this is a great software. Some of the softwares I say, I don't think it's great. I would go GS Pro and upgrade to that. I think you can get along fine with FSX Play, and I think it's just an awesome software. But if you did want to add GS Pro as well, then you're looking at $750 a year. Moving on to setup of the units, the very first time you set it up, it may take an hour for each of these devices. Really, they're all fairly simple to do. And after you've done that, they're all very quick to set up. I would say the SkyTrak Plus and the Bushnell Launch Pro take maybe a minute to 2 minutes to set up. Mevo Plus is maybe 2 to 3 minutes because you got to get the tilt and roll right, and the setup's really important for the accuracy. But overall, they're all very quick. Next up, we have what simulator programs can you use with the devices. Now, really, I'm gonna break this down into iPad and PC. So if you're someone looking to play iPad, Mevo Plus, SkyTrak Plus, you can play it on iPad if you're trying to do a cheaper setup. If you're going with PC, they all work fine with PC. Bushnell Launch Pro, Mevo Plus have GS Pro officially integrated. SkyTrak Plus does not, which means you don't get some of those features like the club data transferring over. Base unit of the Mevo Plus gets 10 free E6 courses. SkyTrak Plus, if you want to spend $250 a year, you get those E6 courses, 15 of them. If you spend $130 a year on that subscription fee, then you can add GS Pro, and Bushnell Launch Pro is going to get the FSX Play, and then you can add on GS Pro. Moving on to battery life, we're gonna start with the SkyTrak Plus. It has around a 5-hour battery life, which is enough where, you charge it, you can play a whole round without having a charging cable plugged in, but you gotta remember to plug it back in when you're done, because sometimes I'll get the unit, wanna use it, and realize I haven't charged it. Now, with the Mevo Plus, this has a 3-hour battery life, which if I'm being honest, you're gonna want an external battery pack or something plugged into it. So I always have an external battery pack, and I'll link that in the video here, and then I just have that battery pack plugged into it the whole time, and I can play as long as I want. Now, the Bushnell Launch Pro is the best. I don't know what the official battery time is on this, but I know it's probably over 10 hours because I've charged it once and I hardly ever have to charge that thing. All right, taking it to the range. Maybe you're someone that wants to use it for range data, bring it back to your sim. Good news, Mevo Plus is gonna work great, works great at the range, and it's actually probably more accurate at the range because it reads the entire ball flight. Typically, radar's a little more accurate outdoors. So Mevo Plus is gonna work great indoors and outdoors. The SkyTrak Plus kinda works. It works on a hitting mat. You can't use it on grass, so I really wouldn't be planning to use your SkyTrak Plus at the range. And then the Bushnell Launch Pro works great both inside and at the range. And if I was being honest, the one I would probably take to the range if I was trying to get a quick session in is the Bushnell Launch Pro, because it's just so simple to set it down right behind you and start hitting. With the Mevo Plus, like I've said, the setup's super important, so it can take, a little bit of time to get your setup right outdoors with the Mevo Plus, but you probably are getting the most accurate readings with the Mevo Plus outdoors. All right, responsiveness. From when you hit the ball to when it appears on your screen, we're gonna rank them in order of fastest response time to slowest response time. Fastest response time, it's gonna be a tie between the Bushnell Launch Pro and Mevo Plus. Now, if you add the fusion tracking option onto the Mevo Plus, which basically takes the camera and kind of combines the camera data with the radar data, then it's gonna slow the Mevo Plus down a little bit. So at that point, Bushnell Launch Pro has the lead, and the SkyTrak Plus is the slowest. But if we're being honest, I don't think any of them are a deal breaker. When you're using the device, you get used to it, and I don't think any of these are to the point where it's a huge issue. All right, we're gonna talk about putting. Everyone wants me to talk about putting on these simulators, but I got something super important, so I need you to get really, really close here. Stop putting on a golf simulator. No matter how good the putting is, we never putt on a simulator, and here's why. You can play 18 holes roughly an hour faster if you just do the auto putt features in the programs. Reason number 2, no matter how good the putting is on a simulator, you're never gonna get better at putting. We recommend playing more holes in less time and getting better faster. Quit putting on simulators. But if you are dead set on putting, SkyTrak Plus, Bushnell Launch Pro, great. Mevo Plus, I've only used it sparingly, a little bit tougher to get down, but I also haven't put in the time to figure out if it's gonna be good or not. All right, let's get into lefties and righties. If you have lefties over consistently, the choice is gonna be the Mevo Plus. You don't have to move the unit. Lefties and righties just operate as normal. If you're using the SkyTrak Plus, can you use lefties and righties? I'd say with GS Pro, if you use the feature where you play out the hole, which allows you to like play the entire hole one, then player two plays the entire hole one, I think it can work. That one's a little easier to switch around. You just flip it and then it adjusts based on the lefty and righty in the game. The Bushnell Launch Pro, I don't think it will really work. And here's the reason. Even if you're to flip it back and forth, you still have to like scroll down on the screen, click lefty. So there's like 3 or 4 steps that are really just gonna be a pain in the butt. Now, I have heard that you can stand over top of the unit. So for instance, righties would hit normal. I would stand over top of the Bushnell Launch Pro or the SkyTrak. But for me specifically, I couldn't do it without my foot getting in the way of the unit. So I really wanted that to work, but unfortunately it didn't. All right, here's one best for kids, or I should say best for people who are like shanking or, you know, high handicappers. I would go with the Mevo Plus. Because it's behind you, you don't have to worry about the unit getting hit and those kind of things. I think if you guys are using the SkyTrak Plus or the Bushnell Launch Pro, I would probably get the protective case for them if you have guys that are above like a 15 handicap and you're just worried about the unit getting hit, or maybe you have small kids who may take a club and swing at the device. I would get the shank tank. All right, quirks of a unit. These are things that aren't really a deal breaker, but it's good to know. So with the Mevo Plus, biggest quirk is the initial setup is extremely important, and I'm gonna link above a video which shows my setup tips. Basically, you can't plop it down and be good to go. You need to have a specific spot, specific distance, tilt and roll needs to be right. Sounds confusing, it's really not. Like I said, it probably adds a minute of initial setup time, but you are gonna wanna have a repeatable setup like we do when you have the Mevo Plus. Quirk number 2, Titleist RCT balls. These are basically specialized balls that help radars read way better. Don't get the Mevo Plus without these. These are incredible. Make sure in your program you're selecting the Titleist RCT ball feature, and this is gonna help the device be way more accurate. So it's not a huge deal, but just make sure you get these. And then the last quirk with the Mevo Plus, to get chipping to work, I found I have to be 5 feet from the unit. So not a huge deal, but it definitely reads better when I chip from 5 feet and then I change the chipping setting to 5 feet as well. With the Bushnell Launch Pro, really not any quirks. The only real quirk I have is with these infrared units, you need to use black, dark blue, or dark green burr tees. If you try to go with a red or white tee, it's gonna throw off the infrared readings. So make sure you get those colored burr tees. And then the last one is the club stickers. Like I said earlier, I don't really love having to put club stickers on. It does get you that club data extremely accurate, but if you like to have people over all the time, it's a little bit of a downside because you're not gonna get that club data for the people coming over unless you wanna take the time to set up the stickers every time. And then the SkyTrak Plus, minimal quirks as well. Like we said with the Bushnell Launch Pro, you're gonna want those dark colored burr tees. It says it doesn't need club stickers, but I found my club path and face angle to be way more reliable when I had it on. So I would try to find some club stickers, maybe from the Bushnell website, order those to put on your clubs. And then like I said, short chips had trouble for me. We're gonna try to find a fix, so if we found it, we'll put it in a comment down below. And then the last thing is the red dot. With the SkyTrak Plus, you need to be hitting pretty much from the same spot every time. Mevo Plus, Bushnell Launch Pro, both have a pretty generous area. So really for all these devices, these quirks aren't a big deal, but you definitely wanna know about them. All right, let's get into how accurate the club data is. I've been talking about what the club data offers, but you wanna make sure it's reliable as well. With the Mevo Plus, surprisingly, it's one of my most reliable units. So for the cost, such a good bang for your buck purchase. The Mevo Plus, I found club speed compared to TrackMan, Bushnell Launch Pro, my path, they're all super reliable and extremely close. Now, Bushnell Launch Pro probably has the most accurate club speed and most accurate into out path, but the Mevo Plus is extremely consistent, and I would put it right on par with the Bushnell Launch Pro. Now, the SkyTrak Plus, I found the club path and face angle to be just as good as these other two devices when I put the club stickers on, but I did find club speed to be off compared to TrackMan, Bushnell Launch Pro, Mevo Plus. It seemed like this club speed was quite a bit different, but overall they all do a great job. But out of all three of these units, which one should you buy? Now, if I had to choose one, it's a little bit of a loaded question because as a lefty, I'll tell you, I really can't use the other units. So when I have people over, I always play with the Mevo Plus. If I'm playing by myself, I'll use the Bushnell Launch Pro. But if I wasn't a lefty, if I knew pretty much everyone coming over was a righty, and I didn't want to pay the subscription fees of the Bushnell Launch Pro, I'd probably go with the SkyTrak Plus. And like I've said earlier, they're all incredible devices. I would feel completely comfortable using any of them as my main unit, but hopefully this video helped make the decision a little bit clearer for you guys on which unit is gonna be best for you. Now, along with this video, we actually have a quiz down below from Play Better that's gonna help you decide which unit you wanna get. And when you take that quiz, it's gonna give you a discount code to get these units as cheap as possible. And then remember, if you're gonna go with the Mevo Plus, we have a separate FlightScope link with a discount code that will get that unit as cheap as possible. And generally the code is gonna be GolfBusters 10. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.